Layer.
Yep, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do.
Wanjiku Chomba is the founder of Smarthub Groceries, which is an enterprise that she started, and she's gone through the ups, the downs, the sideways of running a business. And she's here today to tell us her story and also to see how we can learn the challenges of running a business as a young person. Wanjiku, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Fixing the Nation.
Thank you.
This is where podcast meets broadcast, right? So it's an easy conversation. We talk about what's happening. We fix the nation one conversation at a time. This conversation about business is good, especially at this time when we are in, that phase of finalizing the budget for the next financial year. And all these conversations that are happening in Parliament are also looking at impacting. Some decisions are meant to remove the word "there" and put "are." That can have a huge impact on a business and you just didn't know about it, right? So you'll tell us all about that. But first, Janu Wama quotes will give you the day's quotes.
I kind of thought about Wanjiku when I was putting this quote together, even though I'm in my deep Pan-Africanist, activist era this week. But Lima Bawi from Liberia once said, we must take care of ourselves first so that we can be strong enough to care for others. Do you do that, Wanjiku? Do you pour into yourself first so that you can pour into others, or do you struggle with that?
I try.
You try?
Yeah.
Trying is good. Yeah. But you're getting there.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
That's all we can hope for.
That's true.
A little bit better every day.
Yep.
And then we keep pushing. Tell me about entrepreneurship, because I remember growing up, I used to hear, kuna watu tu wako na hiyo damu ya biashara.
Na mkono.
Na mkono. Then others don't have it. And other people tell you, if you have those two white things on your nails, wewe pesa na kufuata tu.
Yes.
You ever had that?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, did you have an entrepreneurship bug, or was it something that you developed over time?
I would say entrepreneurship, the way people perceive it is, for some people, I think it's a myth, because I've seen people who, when growing up, they didn't even think of running a business or anything. But with time, because of circumstances, they find themselves in business. For instance, when I finished school, high school, and joined college, I didn't know this where I will end, honestly, because I did supply chain management, but circumstances forced me to. They forced me to start Smarthub Groceries. I was in employment. I had a small baby. I had evening classes, so juggling between work, school, home, and buying groceries was quite something.
Right.
And I had to look for people who do online groceries, and I couldn't find. So I saw a need, and I was like, I need to fill that void.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're sitting at home, you're like, I have class, baby needs to be bathed and taken to bed, but I still need groceries for tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're like, where do I get them from?
Yeah.
Some people will say, but si mama mboga kwa hapo chini.
Nana kukatakatia.
Well, even that time, I was in employment.
Yes.
8 to 5, then classes 5:30 to 8.
Wow.
And at 5, you all know nanny is, when it's almost supper is when you'll find a message. Mama, nanny, there is no sijui buttonut for the baby, and it's get quite stressful. So, because you're wondering, do I rush to class? Do I go to the market? Yeah.
Okay, born out of a need. Then Smarthub, so you're like, okay, where can I search online, get groceries? At the time, you didn't see anything.
I didn't see.
Did it click immediately, or it was a bit after? You're like, what if I did it? Did it come at once or after 1, 2, 3 tries?
It was after 1, 2, 3 try. I tried to send people. I tried to send family, friends who I knew maybe who I knew maybe they had some spare time to go to the market for me, but I didn't get the quality I wanted.
Yeah.
And I talked to my colleagues, my classmates back in class, and they were like, wow, this is a need. And I wish someone would need it. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, that someone will be me. And I started, still when I was employed, I started kidogo with my employees. I used to go to, there's a market called High Ridge here at Parklands. I used to wake up early in the morning before I go to work. At 4 a.m., I go shop for like 2 hours. By the time I'm done, buying, I go back home, I prepare my baby, I prepare myself, and then I go to work. Then during break times is when I used to supply to my colleagues, and and after some time is when I decided, let me do it full time. Let me give it my best shot and see how it goes, and I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, for people listening, they're like, she woke up. Are you seeing the hustle and the grind, waking up at 4? And then what was the next immediate need? Was it, oh my gosh, I need capital, or I need a business strategy? What were some of the things that went into you building this idea?
Well, that one, I had not thought of it when I was starting, like I'll need capital, because you say, like buying stock, you need quite an amount, and I didn't have, it was quite a hassle. I had to talk to family and use some of my savings to go start, which was still not enough. But I reinvested back the profit to grow the business. Because you see now with food, you deliver fruits and then someone tells you, hey, I need spinach. Oh, I need meat. I need this. So getting capital was one of the biggest challenge I experienced when starting this business. Yeah.
Okay. So the way I understand it is you have a personal need, and then friends and colleagues also echo that need.
Yeah.
So you started taking orders from your friends and colleagues, right?
Yeah.
So basically everybody, ndio kitabu inaenda around, andika ile kitu mtu anataka. So you get that list, you consolidate, then you go to the market, you purchase those items that are on order. So you're not supplying things that have not been asked for. Or did you get to a point where you're thinking, Jano hajaitisha butternut, na najua kuna mtoto, wacha nipeleke butternut?
Initially, I actually didn't ask. I went thinking
that what you have in mind,
what I have in mind is what people want.
Yeah.
Where? And you know these are perishables.
Yes.
We almost ate a carton of apples in my house. You see, I'm
apple breakfast, lunch,
100, because a carton normally has 150 pieces.
Right.
And let me tell you, hey, that thing of just buying things, thinking that's what people need, was another thing that almost messed me up big time. But with time, I learned to like buy with the needs of people, not what I think they want, but asking them like what they need. And also the friends, you mentioned the friends and family. When I was starting, I had them in mind, but
they're the ones for, wait, wacha nichukue,
nitakulipa. Or even they'll do that and they won't pay you, and then you'll meet them at, you know, the big supermarkets with bags. When they don't have money, they want to take from you. So it was.
Then when they have, suddenly the money goes to a big supermarket.
To a big supermarket. But when they don't have, they'll have the audacity to, hey, Wanjiku, can I get butternut?
How many years have you been in business now?
Actively 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was that navigation like? What were the first 2 years to now? What have some of the ups and downs been?
The first 2 years, one of the biggest challenges was that buying things without asking my customers, and then also I didn't even start with a niche in mind. I thought everyone, see, this is food. Yeah. Who doesn't eat
groceries and food? Yeah.
And then I went all out and bought stuff that people didn't need. I thought they needed them, but they didn't. So I had to sit down and like strategize and know, who am I selling to? Who are my customers? Where are they? I need to go to where they are, because now I learned that business, you don't sell to everyone. You need to have a niche. And another challenge was like transport. I had a small car then, And it was sufficient, but as the business grew, I had to hire riders. And that is another thing that almost messed me up, because you'll call a rider, they'll tell you, 10 minutes, I'll be there. An hour later, they are not there, and you've already communicated with the customer, like your goods will be there in 30 minutes with a lot of confidence. And they're waiting to make dinner or to make lunch, and 1 hour later, the rider is not there. And maybe I'm in Nairobi, my customer is in Karen. So that was another challenge. And then also I forgot to mention, you see, with doing online groceries or selling groceries online, you're selling convenience. So that time, I was not selling convenience at all. I was inconveniencing people, because you see, you tell someone, I'll be there in 10 minutes, and then an hour later. Yeah, so I had to think of how I can get my own bike, maybe an extra van, which was also a challenge, because I don't have money. I don't even have, records. I don't have collateral to get money from the bank. So, but we've maneuvered, and here we are.
At that point, what were you operating as? Were you operating as Wanjiku Chomba, sole proprietor, mimi ndio biashara, or had you registered anything?
I registered. Before I left employment, I said I started when I was still in employment.
Yes.
And I registered when I knew now I am resigning to do this full time. I registered as a sole proprietor. I was lucky enough to, at least I had gone to school. I knew, like, when you want to have a structured business, at least there are some regulations. Na nisishinde nimekimbishwa na kanjo huku. Yeah. So I registered the business, and yeah.
So what did you get? So you've gone and registered as a sole proprietor.
Yeah.
And acquired. You're using your PIN, Wanjiku's PIN,
yes,
right?
Yeah, my personal PIN.
Anything else, like licenses and all from Kanjo?
Then I didn't need a license.
Because you're operating from?
I was operating from home. I used to go to the market early in the morning. I take my stuff to my house. I package them and deliver from there.
At the boot of from the boot of your car?
Yes.
Which is a personal saloon vehicle,
yes.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So when you get into a bigger vehicle, did you have to go through now a new loop challenge?
Yeah.
Registering the vehicle and all?
Yeah. Even getting the vehicles was a challenge, because how do you get, because I didn't have enough capital, so going to the bank telling them, I have this idea. I mean, I had what do you call them? I had a business plan. Like, I have this business idea.
And your bank statements. I mean, you guys are the ones that I bank with. You see all that money? That is from the business.
But
Wakasema,
they need a collateral. And I didn't have.
What are they asking for?
A title or a logbook. Yeah, and maybe even the small car I have has a loan. So the logbook is not even ready.
Right.
Yeah, so that was another big challenge.
How did you raise your capital?
I raised from friends, and then also from my profits. I purposed to plan myself. I forgot to say I'm married. I have 4 children. So what I did, I had to now talk to my husband to allow me to run the business, and the money I get from the business to help me run the family alone. And then the money I get from the business, I put them back. Put them back. But I also asked them, when I went to the bank and they said they wanted a collateral, I asked for other options. And they were like, you need also to have good records, because I was not keen initially when I was starting, like banking, because people they don't like the long processes of sending money to the till. So most customers would prefer to send via M-Pesa. So when they send via M-Pesa, when that money comes to my phone, I'll send direct to the supplier. So I won't even have thought of banking the money and then sending direct from the bank. So I had to go. asked them what is needed for me to qualify for a loan, and I didn't get much help from the bank. I had to, talk to other business people who have been there before me and ask them, how do you guys get loans? Because there are loans all over being advertised and people are getting loans. I mean, I have a viable business here because the business was good and I was getting customers. So I spoke to some mentors and they told me you need books, you need to bank your money. Every coin you get, you need to bank it. Yeah. And I think that I wish the bank, the financial institutions would have that docket of teaching young entrepreneurs. Like when you're running a business, you need to. I was lucky I registered my business, but most young people here, I find them, they have beautiful ideas, they have great ideas, business ideas, and they don't know what they are supposed to do. They don't know if they are supposed to register their company, because most of them come to me and they tell me, I've gotten this order. By the time they go to supply, they are asked, what's the name do we write to this check? And then they give their names. And with most organizations, they don't take you serious. So you need to register first. So if you could have a system where people are trained on, if you're starting a business, start it right. Register a company, get your license. These challenges.
Let me ask you guys, are we saying that our education system does not teach us this well, or practically? Because all these things that we are saying, by the way, we have come across them in school in one way or another. How many types of business do you have? Sole proprietorship, partnership, limited company, limited by guarantee, and so on. Registration and formalization and all. But it's like we just learn it for the paper, for the exam.
That's
when it comes to the practicals of life,
it's different.
You feel like you don't know all this. It's like all that information was, I did it, it doesn't apply.
I feel like it's the best example of qua ground. If ever there was a qua ground between the different, it is that.
In class,
the theory and what happens.
How do we connect that theory to practice? Because what Wanjiku is talking about, and it's valid.
Very valid.
And there are several people and organizations that do this, but it's at an extra cost. And yet your parents paid school fees and you were taught some of these things. How can we connect what we are learning?
But remember, there's also the red tape. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Mariam.
Red tape, very true. But can you imagine if in class, instead of learning on paper that this is an LLC, this is a sole proprietorship, this is all of that, you're taught fine. Then you go into a mock website to register your company. And you're told this week or for this semester or this term, what we're doing is we're running our company. So start by registering it. We give you fake dollars for investment, fake money, fake shillings for investment. You figure out what you're selling, how much you're selling, what's your markup, what are your profit, what's your overheads, do your books. At the end of the week, at the end of the term, at the end of the semester, we'll come and check who's most profitable, who's doing their books best. That's
it has
learning.
to be that practical.
That's learning.
Yeah, because it's
otherwise
different.
It just goes over your head.
Yeah, I don't know whether she encountered this. So I registered a company years ago. So I went through a phase where I'm just like, if you have an idea, register. When I now came to revive it, there was 4 others with the same name.
But it usually tells you when someone else has a similar name.
At that time,
those days,
it was so bad. So, and I'm talking about paperwork. Yeah, so a few years ago, I had to now do a name update, which is a whole other process. That's why that red tape and some of the issues you face sometimes are unpredictable. So there's supposed to be you're supposed to do a name search. Yeah. See, we trust our systems to be like name search, sour. Then they give you the certificate, like everything. But then later you find that there's all these other things that could inconvenience you. I'm very curious to hear from Wanjiku what other surprises came around. But mine was just, there's 4 other names. So now I had to add 2 initials to do an update for something that I'd booked before. And that can get you in trouble.
You usually think your name is so unique
Yeah,
until you find out someone had thought of that. Someone had thought of that too. In Chinatown, someone had thought of that too.
Yeah.
Then I did the Kikuyu thing where you add your initials.
Of course. Mudhokinju.
That one.
It's a Kenyan thing.
It's a Kenyan thing, but it's a Kenyan thing. Sorry, but I'm just wondering. I like what Eric and Mariam are alluding to is the practicality. So for your case, did you now have to kind of learn, okay, register, do this? And even when you were learning what to do, were there any surprises or curveballs that threw you off?
Yeah, like no, getting those structures in place, like putting my maths in order, my bookkeeping, and now it reached a point I needed a license. Yet I was not. I didn't have a shop, or I didn't. I was operating
physical.
from home. And then you see that's another challenge. Like I can't, my home can't be an
address.
Yeah, so I had to look for a place, which was an expense.
Wait,
also
is
that
that
I had not
legally
planned
your
for.
home can't be your business address?
Yeah.
No, it can.
Can't it?
Mama,
You see?
watakata.
You see?
Bullets.
What's it registered as?
A company.
No.
A sole
Your
proprietor.
home.
Sorry, so it's a residential.
It's a residential, yeah.
So, not commercial,
It's
right?
not commercial, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So you're going to apply for a business permit.
You put AB residences.
Right. Okay.
But
understood.
at this point, Wanjiku, you are needing a business permit for the paperwork that you need to present somewhere.
To present to the
Because
bank,
they
not
want
somewhere
all
to
these
the
things.
bank.
They want all this. They want a certificate of incorporation, of
Yeah.
registration. They want a business permit that shows that you are operating. They want a tax compliance certificate. At
Yes.
some point.
Yes.
They want. How are you learning all these things as you're just, you're running a business and you're going through these things? And remember, we are not talking about somebody who's just come from the blues or come just out of high school. It's somebody who you've gone through school, you've actually studied supply chain management, you have run this business for a while, but all these things we are learning now as we go. You said you did not feel like the financial institution that you were dealing with was being helpful. Now let's go through that. What would you have liked them to do? The first moment you walked into that bank, what would you have liked them to do that they were not doing? If you were to advise them today, but then the next time our Wanjiku comes, treat her this way.
The next time Wanjiku comes, you need to listen to her, see the business, if it's viable, and then also advise her accordingly. Because some of these things I learned them from my mentors, not from the bank. You just told you don't qualify. At times they don't even, unless you insist. They'll tell you don't qualify,
No
or they tell you
reasons.
these big things of collateral. I mean, at 20, I was 20. Yeah, at 20-something year old. Now, when you tell them to give you a title, where will they get? Unless from the parent.
Yeah. Okay, let's pause because we're going into a break, and I think that's a critical question. What do you wish you were told? I'm also curious if there were any challenges given that you were a young woman registering a business, or whether that didn't really count. But yeah, you are on Fixing the Nation. What questions do you have? What experiences do you have on the same? Share with us on our social media, and we'll be back after this break.
Today, as we talk about entrepreneurship, the challenges of specifically being a young entrepreneur. Some of them are compliance based, some of them are, economy and all of that.
Even just
altogether.
knowledge.
Yes.
It starts with the knowledge. The point of knowledge, the point of knowing I have an idea.
Yes.
So what do I need to do to bring that idea to life? You have all that. Now, how do I bring that idea to life? And it lives in this environment, ecosystem.
Yes, and also it costs to do compliance, right? So whether it's I was just saying during the break, at some point it was a certificate of safety, like your place is not hazardous, it's fireproof. So all of those things which keep coming up, you're told, oh, by the way, ongeza hii, and then you still have to pay for those. So for a lot of people starting, you're like, but I'm trying to raise capital to run my business.
Yeah.
There should also be knowledge on the costs of compliance.
Yes.
We were talking about tax compliance and how many people know how to file taxes.
Their returns.
So, Wanjiku, as we come to you, several years back, well, not very many years ago, before some of these things like the business registration service was automated online, KRA application or a PIN is online, you can file your returns online. It used to be a lot of manual. So you start with having a business idea and you want to register a name, and that's the one. You go to the business registration services at the Attorney General's office.
Physically,
you file 4 names and you're saying, please check which of these 4 is viable. Then you come after 2 weeks, you get. And then after that, now you go and register. Look for a lawyer who will draft for you the memoranda and articles of association. And then you go with that again to the registrar, get your company registered, come after 2 weeks. That is just the company that has been registered. Now take that to KRA, apply for a PIN for the business. Now from that point, you've applied for those two. There's compliance at registration, there's compliance at KRA. Every so often. Now at least it has been made much easier. You go online, but compliance is still the same. First, at what point did it hit you, compliance and the dates? Oh, 20th, VAT, oh, every annually you have to do your returns, annual returns. Oh, with the business registration, you have to do your annual returns. At what point did it hit you and what was the painful lesson?
We still go back to capital, raising capital.
Yes.
When I went to the bank, I was told I need all those compliance, which I honestly didn't have an idea. Yes, I went to school, but for some reason I didn't have an idea.
We all don't.
We all don't
have. It's just like 2 or 3 people.
And now,
Who are practicing, that's why they
who
know.
have that idea.
Yeah.
and now they have told me you need this compliance. So I had to go back and ask people who have been in business now, how do we get this the tax compliance and all this? So I was told you need this. You need to put your books in order. I did my books, the bookkeeping, and then I looked for an accountant to do for me the 20th, I think the VAT for 20th. At times they asked the NSSF and
HIF,
right now. Then
no,
it was an HIF. Yeah, and you learn and you're not learning at Ibure. You're paying for someone to teach you to do these things. And you see, as a small business woman, I mean, you're trying to raise capital. So even that time of going to look for people is quite something, because you need to be working. So you're not working, you're walking around looking for people to assist you to be compliant, and then you apply. At times systems are not even working. You have to go all the way to Nairobi. If you live in up country, to go to KRA to follow up on the application you did online, which I think is supposed to be automated. Like once I apply, if I apply online, I need to get my feedback online. I don't need to come all the way. Yeah. And then also getting business from corporates. They need all those compliance.
Including a business permit.
Including a business plan.
Now let's talk about a business permit.
You?
That one. Where did you get yours from? At what point do you get a business permit?
When I'm applying for this big corporate. Corporate work and also finances. Mostly when I'm looking for finances and when I'm looking for corporate jobs is when I need the compliance.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. We're continuing with our questions, but I just wanted to get read some feedback. Still, Mike, the one on YouTube. Good morning, fellow fixers. The challenges of starting a business in Kenya comes from inconsistent enforcement of regulations, bribery, and favoritism, so common in government institutions. Somebody actually here is saying, oh, please inform her I offered the above statutory service for free for the first 3 months. Kelvin. I think Wanjiku has sailed this season, but it's good to know that there are people saying that I offer the above statutory service for free for the first 3 months. That would have been helpful, I'm sure. If somebody like that, if you encountered him, he would have helped you do all that for free for the first few months.
Can we make it easier such that you just have to do it yourself?
That's what I'm
Because
wondering.
again, it's a cost, like you're saying. It's a cost to get somebody who does these compliance things for you, especially at that point when you're starting a business. And you want to understand, what do I need? Even if you then get someone, you're getting somebody to do things that you know. I know you need to file these things by 20th for VAT. You need to file these things by this time. If it's you have staff that you're paying a salary, this is how you file for pay as you earn. This is how you file for SHA, how you file for NSSF, how you file your housing levy. This is what I need to do. At the end of the year, you need to file returns with the business registration service. You need to know all these things so that even if you go and hire Mariam to do the job, you know the job that you've hired Mariam to do.
Right.
Otherwise, if you don't know whether Mariam knows or she doesn't know, if Mariam tells you that she knows,
And you
the only
believe
thing
her.
she knows is to go to log into your iTax.
And she charges you 1,500 to log into the iTax. Then you found you're not tax compliant. The day you come looking for a tax compliance certificate is the day you find out Mariam was doing absolute nonsense behind the scenes. And it happens to a lot of people.
Yes.
But I wanted to pivot a little bit to how we consume as Kenyans and the patterns, the trends that you've noticed. Because like you said, you've been here now a while. And groceries, you can assume and say, kila mtu kula. So, of course they'll move. By the way, keep on sharing your experiences with starting a business. The number is on your screen, 0719038858. What have been your challenges? Kuna wale wa kununua bail, ukapata zote ni karate. Let us know what exactly happened. But I wanted to know our sensitivity as Kenyans to price changes, to changes in seasons, to the economic times. What have you noticed in the trends of doing business? How do people react, for example, bei kipanda? Or what changes have you seen over the last 2 years? Because people have been saying the economy, the cost of living, the cost of food is just too high. Have you noticed those trends show in your business?
Yes, I have. I have, and it has actually affected me, affected my business, because the consumption has gone down. For instance, their customers, most of my customers are repeat customers, the ones I like after I complied and now I put my business in order. They started ordering from us for 3 years now. So every week they buy from us, and we have statements to show.
Right.
Like for instance, if it's Janet buys
Kuna order yake standard.
Kuna order yake. Kuna na order yake hata akibadilisha tutajua. But we have seen the consumption has gone down. You find maybe Eric used to buy things worth 9,000. That is inclusive of meat, weekly meat, vegetables, fruits, and other condiment for kitchen.
Right.
And you find drastically amenda. They start with 7,000, 6,000, and then 5,000. When you ask, economy ni mbaya. So it has affected us. And then also from farmers, they complain the cost of growing the produce is quite high. So they have also increased their...
It's the whole value chain.
It's the whole value
Some
chain.
quick
It's not that
reactions.
they're eating less.
It's not that they're eating less. Or sometimes you even cut down.
Right. That's true. It's not that you're eating
Like
needs
the
unless.
luxury.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of things I know a lot of people have had to say, I'm no longer going to buy this because it's hard. But a lot of people are sharing feedback on Facebook. If you're not ready to become a slave of your own business, don't attempt to start one. That's somebody, I think Wanjiku got there, then passed that and said, I'm going to continue. Consistency is the key. That's Jared Chanyisa. Samuel Jara, the power of marketing, which we'll come to in a bit. Avoid debt. That's Irene Gayo. Peter Onganyo. Patience is key. I started, but the government claimed the biggest share of it, so I had to close it and hold what was mine so that they can get theirs. It will take some time before I start another one. Good day. Then he's put a laughing emoji. Embracing failure. That's Victor Arika. Ruben Jeru, not for the faint-hearted. What is it? Kafelo Omondi, be prudent. So then somebody else, Daniel Mutua, backup plan. Do not employ family members as staff. Duncan Saningo. So there's a lot of that, people who are talking about their own journey, what they learned, what they haven't started. It's not an easy journey, Wanjiku. I think a lot of people start. After some time, they're like, see or must. But something kept you going. I know we also need to touch a little bit on marketing and how that made a difference in amplifying your brand, but also just what is it that made you say, I can keep doing this. I'm sure there's days you woke up and said, ama nifunge tu, ama niende malingine, but you kept going. So those two questions, your marketing, how it helped you, and what kept you going?
What kept me going is the need for convenience. Like I had a few customers, even in those inconveniences, they affirmed me. They sent me messages on a daily basis, like when I supply them. And you see, this is online business. They don't know me, I don't know them. Even now, I would say now, 90% of my customers, they don't know me. We don't know each other personally.
Mtapitana tu kwa street and they
they won't know that is Smarthub Groceries. So they affirmed me, and getting messages from strangers, even praying for you, saying, oh, I'm out of the country and I'm happy that my family, I think of them when I am able to nourish them with good food, even from miles away. I was like, no, I cannot stop this. So I had to sit down and strategize myself, get my niche, go to where the people I want to sell to are. And that really helped me to be where I am.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking from a marketing perspective, my interactions with Smarthub Groceries came courtesy of influencer marketing from you guys. And a lot of people don't often go to that as a first step or even as a second step. You think of that as the preserve of large corporates that can afford, influencers and marketing agencies. Why the influencer route? And what other marketing strategies have you employed to grow your business?
What I did initially, I went to social media. That was my first office. It is even today. As much as I have, my first office. I opened Facebook and Instagram. I called them my office, even today. And I used to make a lot of noise in the morning. Like I would update when I go to the farm. I would update and say, I'm at the farm. I have this and this. And I made sure everywhere I go, be it in church, meet friends, even my schoolmates, everyone knew Martha anauza mboga. Martha and Ozam.
You were your first influencer.
Yeah, I owned it and I loved it, kabisa. I didn't shy away. Oh, I'm from corporate. I can't go to the farm, to the marikiti. No, I proudly owned it. And when I went there, I could take photos, post them on socials, and that's where even the influencers. Because Mimi, most of the influencers, I don't even go to them. They come to me. Because they have seen what I do.
Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I like that it happened the other way around. And you were your first champion. You were your first influencer for your business, and then they followed suit. So as you think of someone who's growing a business right now, that part about people are like, metoka corporate. There's something about not wanting to be seen to be trying too hard. People have that problem. What would you tell someone who has that? Staki kuwa, ati nimejaribu sana. Post 10 times in one day. Come on. About my business. And that's your business. Yeah.
Posting. You have to post. People have to see you. You have to let people not forget about you. Like Mimi Sahi, people will know the condition. They already know I'm here. Like when on my way home, I'll say something to be relevant. And I'll mention at that something I'm saying, maybe I'll be in an Uber, I see some nice building or some nice tree, I'll take a photo and then I'll put Smarthub on it. Like people will not forget Smarthub in exist.
Not when you're on it.
Not when I'm on it. And I'm the one with the vision. Even if I employ a Harvard marketer, they can't market my business the way I can market it. So everywhere I go, be it in church, even those places you're not supposed to, I find a way to mention Mimi ni Mama Mboga, and I'm proud of it, and I've owned it. I call it law of attraction. It will frustrate you, it will disappoint you, but at the end of the day, I have to love them back. And Smarthub loved me back.
Oh, I love that. You have to be unapologetic.
Yes.
So I think the fix here that I'm hearing more and more is in the journey to entrepreneurship. I'm just trying to figure out how we've maybe spoken to someone today, because I think what you've done, Wanjiku, is really inspiring. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, your name, the business seemed to do well during COVID. I could be wrong. Did it do well during COVID?
Yes, it did.
I think I remember, because there was an opportunity where people couldn't leave, so they delivered. But I think, how do we sort the compliance issue? How have we gone through that? We say we talk to financial institutions. What else? We make it less tedious.
Yes.
But it has to be.
We integrate it into our educational institutions.
I like that.
So that
to be there.
you can be counter-checking. You don't just trust that someone is, I might not have the competency to your level, but at least I know what you're doing on behalf of my business.
Idea.
I know, things like that.
And I think the other thing that they can do, like the business registration service, brs.go.ke, should have a portal that you go into, and you're thinking of starting a business, this is the journey. Like, just take me through. This is what you need to do. You have registered, you've started a business. This is what you need to do. KRA also should have the same. I know KRA usually send you emails telling you attend this seminar, attend this virtual seminar. And I keep saying, all right, so you're talking to people, attend the virtual seminar. They may be busy, they may not be able to. Can you compress that information somewhere? So you can go to the iTax portal and you just check, am I compliant? This is what I need. Or it just keeps telling, goes with you in the calendar. Today is the 27th of May. So start looking out for these compliance dates. This is what you need to do. Those kind of things. You've got to know that you're dealing now with people who are more and more into enterprise. Everybody has a hustle and a side hustle. And some, it's several hustles at a time. But then there's a question I wanted to ask. How do you do your pricing? How do you know, hii mboga nitauza pesa fulani? Is it a math thing that you do, 20% margin? Or is it just tries X? How did you start? How did you get where you are?
On paper, you'll say this percentage, but
Qua
ground, they keep fluctuating. Like today, yesterday I bought a cabbage at 80 bob. Today is 100 bob. And then you say, for Smarthub Groceries, we sell convenient. We don't entrust. You don't need to. We don't like to keep calling our customers. Oh, today mboga is 50. Tomorrow it will be 60. No, so what we've done, we come up with a price list. And this price list, we've considered is of fluctuations. And then we've also considered we have a team that we pay. We've considered also farmers. We've considered logistics and all that. That's what helped with our pricing. Yeah.
I really like that. The fact that everybody has been put into the math, because usually the middleman is the one winning. So a lot of people will say farmers are not getting paid enough for their produce, consumers are paying too much for their produce. It's there in the middle that someone seems to be making money, but you factored in farmers, you factored in, of course, your markup that people need to be paid, and then at the end of the day, there's also that now convenience fee. So I like how much work you've put in it and how much intentionality. As a parting shot, perhaps, when you think of a business that is purely online, would you recommend?
Yes,
or is there still a part of you that wants to open some grocery store somewhere?
Not that one, I will. I cannot. I love it online, and I want to remain online. And if there's someone out there who would want to open an online shop, it does not necessarily have to be grocery. I would encourage them, because online is good so long as you put in work. Online, you don't just come and you have to put in work, take people through your journey, behind the scenes, show them, own your product and show them that you got this. And
own your product.
Yeah, own your product. And you'll make it. Online is good.
I like that.
Yeah.
Ile cabbage yako imetravel far, imefika wapi delivery?
Imefika Turkana.
Hey.
Where? You're in Deg.
I love that.
Wanjiku Chomba, founder of Smarthub Groceries, has been our guest, just looking at how to start and operate a business, especially the environment as young people. What are the challenges that you're going through, and what is it that we need to do to fix it? Keep it here for more conversations in the next hour. It's the conversation around the budget, the next year's budget, and the impact it will have on the education sector. Don't worry.